Happy Monday, everyone. Today we are going to do the Builder series, The Brain, Part 2. Today we're going to focus solely on the amygdala and identify how to assess it, what causes it to experience trauma, so we can understand why certain kids explode more and some don't very much. So just to recall, the amygdala is this tiny yellow thing right here, very small but powerful. An important part about her to know is that she is mature at birth. This is very important to know because she can experience a lot of things within the womb that maybe we don't realize. Since she is mature at birth, she never grows in size at all. I call her Amanda the amygdala. I can refer to her as our car alarm that sets off alerts to tell us danger, danger. I'll also call her our bodyguard because she keeps an eye out for us at all times. In the last video, I discussed that she is actually cannot tell. Her job is not to tell if danger is real or fake or perceived, or if her job is to tell if it's small or big. Her job is solely to say danger, danger, danger. An example might be a car or a fire alarm in your work building goes off and she flips her lid and she says danger, danger, danger. Her job is not to say, well, I'm not sure if there's actual danger because it could just be a fire drill. Her job is to set you off, turn on the brainstem, and say, danger, danger, get out. Our prefrontal cortex is the one that comes in and says, they're just testing alarms today. That was a mistake. So amygdala does the best she can, and that is to always tell us about any danger that is perceived or real. So how do we assess the amygdala? So there's several different ways we can assess the amygdala to see if it's been traumatized or not. The first way to assess the amygdala is, was the pregnancy healthy? Did the mother go to her prenatal appointments? Did she take care of herself? Various things like that. Was the pregnancy healthy? Because that's going to tell us if our amygdala is healthy. The second thing is, were there any stressors during mother's pregnancies? These can be small stressors, such as a stressful job that the mother didn't enjoy, financial difficulties. It can also include things like the mother being witnessed or exposed to domestic violence. It can be the mother being in a tornado or another natural disaster during the pregnancy. It can be various things. But studies show that if mother is stressed during the pregnancy, she is already sending stress to the baby's amygdala, because remember, it's mature at birth. So that means that in the womb, especially our final stages of pregnancy, it's mature. So it can already be perceived if danger, or already being perceived as danger if the mom is setting her amygdala. So mom's amygdala affects kid's amygdala. Was the child in the NICU or have any possibility of birth trauma at all? That already sends the baby into the world with high stress. Once again, mature at birth. So all it can tell is danger, danger, danger. So if it's coming into a high stress world because of any sort of birth trauma at all, or an emergency C-section or anything like that, it already is alerting itself. Adoption, even if the baby is adopted at birth, carried home straight from the hospital, that is still a loss. That used to be hard for me to believe because I didn't quite understand it. But when I took the call training to be a foster parent a few years ago, a lady stood up and gave the most beautiful example. And she said, the baby can hear and is aware and hears mom's voice and hears what mom's listening to and hears the noises around it. And all of a sudden, when it goes home with a different mom, maybe that's different music. Maybe that's different. It's completely different voices. So that's still a loss. You also have to be aware of family history, because if the parent has any sort of abuse or trauma and their amygdala is constantly going off, then their amygdala is firing, which is firing kids' amygdala. So that means when you're dealing with your children, either at home or you're a teacher and you're dealing with a school setting, if you don't have a healthy amygdala and you are constantly triggered, your amygdala is triggering the child's amygdala, which is sending them into a rage, which, remember, turns off their prefrontal cortex and turns off their brainstem, and they can't think with their brainstem. So how is your amygdala interacting with their amygdala? That's something to be very aware of. Research says that trauma impacts mom's ability to be emotionally available, which affects attachment. And that's a big thing that we'll get into later. And lastly, I want to teach you is that research research states that depressed moms equal depressed babies. So when we are looking for the amygdala, we are looking to assess the first few months of life. That teeny tiny baby that gets brought home from the hospital is actually learning so much that will eventually teach the brain how to develop and to respond to things. Thanks for tuning in today.